Era of good feelings. A growing nation. Lands in the West. Since the western border of America now extended to the Rocky Mountains and included the Louisiana Territory, lands in the territory began to apply to become states in the Union. In 1820, Missouri wanted to be added to the Union and wanted to allow slavery. This would cause slave states to outnumber the free states in America. This would mean that slave states had more Congress members and would have more power in Congress, making it easy to pass pro-slavery laws. Henry Clay, a senator from Kentucky, came up with the Missouri Compromise. Missouri would be allowed to join as a slave state. Maine would be added as a free state. Maine was the upper part of Massachusetts and became its own new state. A line was created to divide the country into land that allowed people to own slaves and land that outlawed people from owning slaves. This was called the Missouri Compromise Line, or the Mason-Dixon Line. All land below the line allowed people to own slaves and all land above it did not. The American System. After the War of 1812, Americans felt good about themselves. They had beaten the British once again and felt strong. American manufacturing and trade took off. British companies sent huge amounts of affordable goods to America after the war. American mill owners wanted to sell their goods to Americans rather than have them buy them from Britain, but they were having a hard time competing with the British prices. Henry Clay, a member of the United States House of Representatives, had a plan to aid American businesses. He called it the American System. It included the following. 1. A tariff. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. It made European goods more expensive and encouraged Americans to buy cheaper products made in America. The tariff also made the country money, which would be used to improve things. 2. A national bank. The establishment of a national bank that would promote a single currency, money, making trade easier. 3. Roads and canals. Improve the transportation system in the country. Henry Clay thought that many more roads and canals should be built. These roads and canals would make trade easier and faster for everyone, helping farmers and merchants get their goods to markets. Henry Clay hoped the American system would help the United States be able to become independent from Europe. Monroe Doctrine. As James Monroe's presidency continued, America began to prosper and become more and more powerful throughout the world. Other countries were finally taking us seriously. However, the same couldn't be said for Central and South America. Working with his Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams, Monroe issued the Monroe Doctrine. It was written in response to Spain and other European powers trying to keep influence over Latin American countries that had won independence. Also, Russia tried to gain control over American territories on the Pacific coast. The constant threat of foreign influence over the American continent led President Monroe to issue the doctrine. Elements of the Monroe Doctrine. President Monroe made it very clear that the U.S. would not interfere with any existing European colonies. The U.S. would not interfere with European affairs. Europe should not try to colonize new areas in North, South America. European involvement in North, South America would be viewed as a danger to the U.S. peace and safety and could result in military action. The Adams-Onis Treaty. Before the Monroe Doctrine was issued, James Monroe and John Quincy Adams worked together to add Florida to the United States. This land was previously occupied by Spain. Natives living in Spanish Florida began to rebel and encourage slaves to do the same, so Andrew Jackson was sent by Adams and Monroe to stop the rebellion. With a strong military presence in Florida, Spain, and the United States ended up negotiating the Adams-Onis Treaty and Florida became a U.S. state.